Thank you very much for your kind introduction. This topic was already discussed yesterday by my colleague Heinz Skodder, but I thought we could have another talk about this because, first of all, we managed to make the system so complicated that you will not understand it in 15 minutes. And secondly, it will drastically change the patent litigation landscape in Europe. So before talking about the new system, which we're going to have soon, I would like to wrap up what we have today in Europe. In Europe, we have what is called a European patent, but the European patent is not really a single patent covering all Europe. What it is we have a European Patent Office that has a single examination procedure, and that leads to the grant of a European patent. Before we had the European Patent Office, all the 38 member states of the EPO had their own national patent prosecution. So if you wanted to have a patent for 38 countries in Europe, you had to make 38 different patent applications. So this was already greatly simplified by the European Patent Office, but once the European patent is granted, it becomes actually a bundle of national patents. So we don't have a European patent after grant, we only have a single granting procedure. Please also note that the member states of the The member states of the European Patent Office are not identical to the member states of the European Union. For example, we have Switzerland as a member state of the European Patent Office, or here up in the north we have Norway. These are countries who are very rich. For them to join the European Union would be expensive. They're not in the European Union, but they're part of the European Patent Office. When the European patent is granted, the applicant has to decide where he wants to nationalize the patent, and the more countries he chooses, the more expensive it will be, because not only is there then oftentimes a translation requirement, also he has to pay annuity fees for each and every country, just like he has to pay for a national patent. These are typical numbers of applicants in different technologies. Pharma industry and chemical tend to nationalize in more countries because for them patent protection is very important. High tech typically nationalizes only in the big three, that is UK, France, and Germany. Although 38 member states participate in the European Patent Office, in 50% of all cases, actually, only 3 countries are then chosen for patent protection in the end. So each of these national parts of a European patent has precisely the same effect as a national patent. So whether you have a French part of a European patent, or whether you have a French national patent that was prosecuted in the French Patent Office in Paris, it makes no difference later on in enforcement. It's precisely the same. Also, by the way, the annuities are the same for a national patent or for a national part of a European patent. So what does that mean in litigation? That means there is no common enforcement procedure for European patents. It is country by country. So if the French part of a European patent is enforced in the French court decision will only have effect for France. An injunction granted in France will only be enforceable in France, will not be enforceable in Germany, for example. On the flip side, if the French court decides to invalidate the patent, if a counterclaim for invalidation has been brought, then only the French part of the European patent is gone, but the German part or the UK part or the Dutch part would still be there. That, of course, can lead to parallel patent litigation in several European countries, and that actually was the reason for the new system. It has been said it is inefficient to have parallel litigation of the same European patent